Welcome to Culture Vulture. It is your ultimate alternative weekly entertainment guide. We bring you the best of film, music, and the arts. Our perspective is fresh. Mainstream media often overshadows unique voices and creative expressions. Culture Vulture aims to shine a light on hidden cultural gems that deserve your attention. Each week, we curate a selection of films, music, and events designed to inspire and engage. We celebrate the diverse tapestry of artistic endeavours that shape our world. Writing and selection is by Pat Harrington and music is from Tim Bragg. Highlights this week include The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, a sweeping tale of love, honour, and friendship spanning 3 wars. This classic British film explores the evolution of a soldier's life and ideals. The Black Phone, a chilling horror thriller where a kidnapped boy discovers a supernatural lifeline to past victims through a disconnected phone in his captor's basement. And Loaded, Lads, Mags, and Mayhem, a nostalgic and critical look at the rise and fall of Loaded magazine, capturing its controversial influence on 1990s lad culture.
Saturday, the 16th of November 2024. Laura, 1944, BBC 2:10 AM. Laura, directed by Otto Preminger, is a timeless film noir that delves into the murky depths of desire, identity, and obsession. The story follows Detective Mark McPherson, who is investigating the murder of Laura Hunt, a successful advertising executive whose life was as complex as it was captivating. As McPherson examines Laura's world through interviews with her acquaintances and admirers, he becomes entranced by her image, transforming her from a victim into an enigmatic presence who dominates his thoughts. The film masterfully layers intrigue and emotion, creating a portrait of Laura not only as a character but as a symbol of allure and mystery, leaving audiences as mesmerized by her as McPherson himself. As the investigation unfolds, Laura presents a nuanced exploration of how perception and reality can diverge. The people in Laura's life, from her wealthy mentor, Waldo Leidker, to her charming fiancé, Shelby Carpenter, each hold conflicting memories of her, making Laura both knowable and elusive. This distortion of memory and perspective raises questions about how we construct our perceptions of others, and how, sometimes, we fall in love with ideals rather than people. McPherson's infatuation with Laura's portrait adds another layer, suggesting that fascination can blossom even without personal intimacy, complicating his journey to discover the truth behind her apparent death. Laura is a haunting meditation on the power of image and the illusions we create around those we desire. By the time the story reaches its startling climax, the viewer is left to confront the ways that love, jealousy, and obsession intertwine in a world where beauty and vulnerability go hand in hand. Laura's life and death invite us to consider the fragility of human connections and the potent impact of unattainable ideals on the mind and soul. Preminger's deft direction, combined with atmospheric cinematography, allows Laura to blur the line between admiration and possession, ultimately reminding us of the dark and complex terrain of desire. The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, 1943, BBC 2 1:30 p.m. Powell and Pressburger's The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp explores a quintessentially British perspective on war, honour, and the passage of time. Clive Candy, a decorated officer, becomes a figure through whom we experience the shifting moral landscapes of both world wars. His journey highlights a man whose principles and sense of duty are deeply rooted in a past era, causing him to struggle with the ethics of modern warfare and new, ruthless forms of patriotism. The character of Candy is one of both charm and tragedy, representing the dilemma faced by those clinging to honor codes that the brutality of total war deems obsolete. Candy's life and career mirror Britain's own experience across the first half of the 20th century. His long-standing friendship with a German officer, Theo Kretschmar-Schuldorff, is a powerful symbol of the personal bonds that endure despite national divides. The film poignantly portrays how ideals of fair play and mutual respect are slowly eroded by an increasingly mechanized, impersonal approach to warfare, reflected in the contrasting characters of Candy and the younger, more pragmatic officers around him. As Candy navigates these changes, his encounters reveal a nostalgia for a bygone era and a world where wars were viewed with a chivalric lens, rather than as totalizing conflicts demanding complete dehumanization of the enemy. Colonel Blimp asks viewers to reflect on how a person, and a nation, reconciles the need for integrity with the pressures of survival in an increasingly immoral world. Candy's moral struggle becomes all the more relevant in our times, where ideological conflicts continue to dominate, and the film leaves us to ponder what remains of honor in the pursuit of national interest. His tale isn't just about a man out of his time, but a meditation on the struggle to remain true to oneself in a world that relentlessly demands change. Through Candy's deeply personal story, Powell and Pressburger remind us of the cost of holding to principles in an evolving, often merciless world. Edward VIII, Britain's Traitor King. PBS America, 9 p.m. Edward VIII, Britain's Traitor King explores a ruler who stood at the crossroads of personal desire and national duty. As Prince of Wales, Edward was beloved, his charm captivating the public, yet the crown bore weighty expectations. When he ascended to the throne, his romantic entanglement with Wallis Simpson threatened to overshadow his responsibilities. The documentary lays bare the tension between his role and his indulgences, showing how personal relationships risked compromising the stability of a nation. It unveils the hidden sides of royalty, questioning what it truly means to rule. The film uncovers disturbing associations, casting Edward in a different light. His sympathies toward Germany and connections with certain figures reveal a startling side of his character. These associations led many to question his loyalty and intentions, challenging Britain's image of its monarchy. Viewers are left to ponder the implications of a king whose alliances went against the very values his role represented. The question of who he served, the crown or himself, looms large, shaping the narrative of a king who seemed to stray from duty. The film's exploration of Edward's abdication raises deeper questions about power, sacrifice, and national interest. It prompts viewers to consider the implications of a ruler who put personal feelings above responsibility. In examining Edward's choices, the documentary reveals how fragile the balance between personal freedom and public role can be, especially for a figure as visible and symbolic as a king. Edward VIII's story is ultimately a lesson in the costs of privilege and how private choices can bear profound consequences for an entire nation.
Sunday, the 17th of November 2024. Lord of War, 2005, Legend, 9 p.m. Lord of War follows the rise of Yuri Orlov, a seemingly ordinary man who makes a name for himself in the international arms trade, supplying weapons to warlords and governments alike. Played by Nicolas Cage, Yuri is a paradox, charming yet morally conflicted, financially successful yet spiritually bankrupt. The film explores his transformation from an ambitious entrepreneur to a ruthless arms dealer, highlighting the allure and dangers of power. Through Yuri's calculated moves and his ability to justify horrific choices, the audience is drawn into a world where profit is put above human life, and the line between right and wrong blurs. As Yuri's empire grows, the film forces viewers to confront the systemic nature of violence and corruption within global conflicts. Yuri's transactions aren't limited to faceless corporations or rebel groups, they affect real lives and real nations, yet his own humanity becomes almost invisible under the weight of his actions. In stark contrast, his family members, who plead with him to stop, represent a moral compass he cannot afford to heed. His brother's descent into addiction and despair serves as an all-too-real consequence of Yuri's choices, yet Yuri remains unmoved, embodying the duality of a man who both acknowledges and dismisses the cost of his trade. As the story unfolds, Lord of War presents Yuri as a symbol of the darker aspects of ambition and the troubling reality of modern capitalism, where the supply of violence is as lucrative as any other trade. His story is a chilling commentary on the lengths people will go to in the pursuit of power and the silent complicity that allows such individuals to thrive. Through Yuri, the film raises uncomfortable questions about the moral cost of economic success and challenges viewers to reflect on the unseen forces fueling conflicts around the world. 1978, the year the Christmas lights went out. Channel 5, 9 p.m. 1978, the year the Christmas lights went out takes us back to a winter of hardship and tension in Britain, using the simple tradition of Christmas lights to tell a broader story. The year was marked by economic struggles, rising inflation, and a wave of strikes that left the country short on essentials. The choice to dim or forego holiday lights became more than a mere response to energy shortages. It symbolized how even small comforts, like holiday decorations, became luxuries many could no longer afford. Through this absence, we see a reflection of a nation facing hard questions about resources and equity. The documentary highlights how families, neighbors, and communities responded to the sense of loss and resilience brought by the winter of discontent. People had to adjust to a reality where traditional celebrations became a rare luxury. The act of foregoing festive lights became a quiet statement, a shared experience that underscored the deeper divides between those who struggled and those who managed to maintain a semblance of normalcy. This absence of light conveyed both financial strain and a unifying, if solemn, message about shared sacrifice. Beyond the symbolic, 1978 invites reflection on how simple acts of resilience connect communities in hard times. The choice to go without lights speaks to the way individuals find solidarity and quiet strength in shared adversity. The absence of color and light on winter streets serves as a powerful reminder of how societal strains trickle down to the personal level, impacting even our smallest, most cherished traditions. It's a glimpse into how a community, facing crisis, transforms the ordinary into an act of quiet resilience and unspoken camaraderie. The Read with Sacha Dhawan and the 1954 BBC adaptation of 1984 BBC 4 from 9 p.m. Sacha Dhawan's reading of 1984 captures the relentless pressure of a world where every thought and gesture is monitored. His voice adds depth to the experience, bringing Winston Smith's fears and vulnerabilities into sharp focus. Dhawan's rendition makes the haunting nature of Orwell's message unmistakable. In Winston's attempts to preserve his thoughts, we hear the struggle of an individual under constant surveillance, fighting to retain what little privacy remains in a society bent on erasing it. The reading becomes an invitation to feel the tension of life lived under watchful eyes. The 1954 BBC adaptation of 1984 amplifies Orwell's warnings through its stark, minimalist portrayal of Big Brother's world. Shot in gritty black and white, the production conveys the bleakness of a society stripped of freedom and hope. The adaptation takes the audience into a space where fear is routine, and loyalty is forced. We see how a society built on suspicion and control leaves no room for dissent or individuality. The chilling portrayal of government overreach and forced obedience makes the story feel unsettlingly close, bringing Orwell's cautionary tale to life for the screen. Together, The Read and the 1954 adaptation present a disturbing vision of a world where human connections are controlled and truth is manufactured. These adaptations remind us of the enduring relevance of Orwell's insights into the dangers of absolute power. The performances evoke empathy for Winston's struggle, showing how authoritarianism can reduce individuals to hollow shells, controlled and contained. In bringing 1984 to life, Dhawan and the BBC make Orwell's world feel more than fiction. They make it a warning, a call to remember the value of independent thought and the courage it takes to hold on to one's humanity.
Monday, the 18th of November 2024. Dune Prophecy, Sky Atlantic, 9 p.m. Dune Prophecy breathes new life into Frank Herbert's iconic universe, blending politics, mysticism, and the harsh beauty of Iraqis. This adaptation manages to capture the complex power dynamics between the great houses and the fragile balance they strike with the desert planet's indigenous freeman people. From the vast sandscapes to the tense council chambers, the series visually immerses viewers in a world where alliances are tentative, and survival is fraught with peril. Each episode carefully builds on the lore, crafting a narrative that both respects the original material and adds modern cinematic touches. The series shines in its portrayal of Paul Atreides' transformation from a young noble into a messianic figure burdened with visions of the future. This journey is more than a physical one across the unforgiving desert, it's a psychological struggle as Paul grapples with destiny and identity. The interplay between Paul and the Freeman, especially his growing bond with Chani, adds depth to his character and gives weight to his choices. As the series explores his increasing awareness of his power, it prompts viewers to question the ethical complexities of wielding such influence, especially when fate and prophecy collide. What sets Dune Prophecy apart is its attention to the themes of ecological balance and resource exploitation. The desert planet is more than a backdrop, it's a living, breathing presence that shapes the lives of everyone who steps upon its sands. The scarcity of water, the reverence for spice, and the freeman's bond with the land underscore the stakes of each power struggle. By emphasizing these elements, the series makes Herbert's cautionary message relevant to contemporary viewers, reminding us of the fragile interdependence between nature and civilization. Dune Prophecy is both a thrilling sci-fi journey and a reflective exploration of power, legacy, and the consequences of ambition. The Football Factory, 2004, Legend 11 p.m. In The Football Factory, director Nick Love offers a raw, unfiltered look into the world of football hooliganism, focusing on Tommy Johnson and his immersion in a culture defined by aggression and tribal loyalty. The film captures the charged atmosphere surrounding English football, where camaraderie and hostility intermingle to create an explosive social space. Through Tommy's eyes, viewers are given insight into the lives of working-class men who find purpose and identity in the heated battlegrounds of stadiums and pubs. Football here is more than a sport, it is a way of belonging, of asserting oneself in a world that offers few outlets for expression. The film reveals the complexities of this subculture, depicting characters who find a sense of power in violence, even as it slowly consumes them. Love does not glamorize the brutality but rather highlights its appeal, showing how the thrill of a physical fight can provide a fleeting sense of control and release. Tommy's relationships, however, are inevitably strained by his choices, and he is forced to confront the impact of his lifestyle on those closest to him. The Football Factory reveals the deeply personal cost of a life spent chasing adrenaline, hinting at the emptiness beneath the bravado and the pain of living without deeper purpose or stability. In a broader sense, The Football Factory addresses societal issues related to alienation and the search for identity. It poses difficult questions about what it means to belong in a society that often disregards or sidelines those from less privileged backgrounds. Through Tommy's narrative, the film asks viewers to consider the destructive cycles that develop when community and opportunity are absent, showing how easily rage can be channeled into harmful expressions. Ultimately, The Football Factory is a searing exploration of the human need for connection, challenging viewers to reflect on the invisible boundaries that shape us and the costs of transgressing them.
Tuesday, the 19th of November 2024. The Listeners, 1 of 4, BBC 1 9 p.m. On Tuesday, the 19th of November 2024, BBC One will air the first episode of The Listeners, a new drama starring Rebecca Hall. The series follows Claire, a popular English teacher, who begins to hear a mysterious low humming sound that no one else can detect. This sound starts to disrupt her life, causing tension with her husband, Paul, and daughter, Ashley. Despite multiple medical consultations, no cause for the sound can be found. Claire discovers that one of her students, Kyle, can also hear the hum. The two form an unlikely friendship and find themselves increasingly isolated from their families and friends. They join a group of neighbors who also claim to hear the sound, led by a charismatic couple, Joe and Omar, who believe the hum is a gift for a chosen few. The series explores the impact of this mysterious sound on Claire's life and the lives of those around her, delving into themes of trust, isolation, and the search for meaning in an increasingly polarized world. Ben is Back, 2018. BBC 2 11:40 p.m. Ben is Back explores the dynamic between a mother and her son, Ben, who returns home for a brief stay while battling addiction. Julia Roberts and Lucas Hedges portray a family grappling with the fears and hopes that addiction brings into their lives. The film captures the anxiety and anticipation that come with Ben's sudden return, as Holly, his mother, hopes for the best but braces for the worst. Their interactions reveal a complex love, one that has been tested and scarred yet refuses to abandon the person at its core. Holly's unrelenting efforts to support Ben embody the resilience and pain that accompany unconditional love. As Ben's story unfolds, we see the toll that addiction takes not only on him but on his family as well. The film doesn't shy away from the darker realities of relapse, guilt, and mistrust, forcing viewers to confront the emotional rollercoaster experienced by families dealing with substance abuse. The stakes are high, and Holly's desperation grows as she realizes the limitations of her control over Ben's choices. This recognition makes the viewer question the extent to which one can help another, especially when the other's actions continuously strain trust and love. In its portrayal of addiction, Ben is Back speaks to themes of redemption and forgiveness, raising questions about how relationships are tested by dependency. The film leaves us reflecting on the fragility of family ties and the tremendous efforts required to mend them when trust is fractured. Through Ben and Holly's journey, the film underscores the power of empathy and determination while exposing the painful reality that some conflicts may resist resolution. Their story is one of relentless hope and the daunting path toward healing.
Wednesday, the 20th of November 2024. Unfaithful, 2002, Legend 10:45 p.m. Unfaithful, directed by Adrian Lyne, examines the boundaries of love, loyalty, and desire through the story of Connie Sumner, a suburban wife whose impulsive affair disrupts her seemingly perfect life. Diane Lane's portrayal of Connie brings out the inner conflict of a woman torn between stability and passion. The allure of forbidden excitement draws her into a clandestine world, one where she rediscovers aspects of herself that had long been dormant. This exploration of impulsive desires and their repercussions drives the narrative, providing a nuanced perspective on the human psyche's unpredictable urges. The film takes a hard look at the consequences of betrayal, both personal and relational. Connie's husband, played by Richard Gere, represents the stability and security she craves but momentarily rejects. When he uncovers her secret, his own turmoil becomes a reflection of the shattering effect of infidelity. Unfaithful shows that even a momentary lapse in loyalty can create ripples that are both devastating and permanent. Connie's affair is portrayed not simply as an act of rebellion but as a manifestation of the longing that can exist within any person, questioning whether relationships can survive the deepest breaches of trust. Ultimately, Unfaithful is more than a story of marital discord, it is a reflection on the unpredictable pathways of human emotion and connection. The film leaves audiences pondering the complexities of love, suggesting that even the strongest bonds can be tested by seemingly momentary choices. It challenges viewers to consider whether true reconciliation is possible and how people navigate the lingering aftermath of decisions that redefine their relationships forever.
Thursday, the 21st of November 2024. The Mustang, 2019, C4 1:35 p.m. The Mustang tells the story of Roman Coleman, an incarcerated man who begins a journey of healing and transformation through an unusual prison program involving the training of wild horses. Roman's bond with a particularly unruly Mustang becomes a mirror for his own struggles with rage and regret. The horse, initially resistant and hostile, symbolizes Roman's inner conflict and the battles he wages within himself. As Roman learns to tame the horse, he experiences moments of reflection and acceptance, hinting at the possibility of redemption in even the most isolated environments. Through the lens of animal therapy, the Mustang highlights the redemptive power of compassion and mutual understanding. Roman's relationship with the horse fosters a connection he had long believed impossible, forcing him to confront past traumas and the lingering effects of his mistakes. His journey is one of self-discovery, as he learns to reconcile his violent tendencies with a newfound gentleness. This connection with a creature equally wild and wounded becomes a powerful metaphor for the potential to overcome one's darkest parts. The film leaves viewers contemplating the human capacity for change, even when it seems beyond reach. Roman's transformation is a testament to the resilience and strength that can emerge when a person is given the opportunity to rebuild. Through the Mustang, the audience is invited to question their own assumptions about redemption, as the film quietly argues that growth and empathy can arise from the most unexpected places. The Colosseum with Dan Snow, Channel 5 9 p.m. The Colosseum with Dan Snow is an engaging exploration of one of history's most iconic structures, blending architectural marvel with brutal spectacle. Dan Snow leads viewers through the grandeur and complexity of the Roman Colosseum, examining how it embodied both the empire's ingenuity and its appetite for power. With Snow's expertise, the series brings ancient Rome to life, revealing how the Colosseum wasn't just an arena but a statement of dominance, built to inspire awe and submission. His storytelling and attention to detail give audiences an immersive view into the structure's design, innovations, and the engineers who made it possible. One of the series' strengths is how it delves into the lives of those who fought, watched, and died within the Colosseum's walls. Through stories of gladiators, slaves, and spectators, Snow paints a vivid picture of the social dynamics that played out in the amphitheater. The Colosseum wasn't just a venue for combat, it was a tool of political theater, a place where emperors wielded power and demonstrated control over life and death. The series sheds light on the lives behind the legends, from the gladiators who became reluctant icons to the spectators who saw the games as a release from daily hardship. The visual presentation is striking, combining CGI reconstructions with on-site filming to transport viewers back to ancient Rome. Snow's narration strikes a balance between scholarly insight and accessible storytelling, making the history feel both profound and relatable. The series invites us to consider the Colosseum as a symbol of both human achievement and cruelty. By focusing on the lives touched by the Colosseum's events, Snow helps viewers connect with an ancient world that feels surprisingly relevant today, reminding us how public spectacles can shape, control, and even define a society. Hunting Mr. Nice, The Cannabis King, BBC 2, 9 p.m. Hunting Mr. Nice, The Cannabis King on BBC Two is an intriguing dive into the life of Howard Marks, the Welsh schoolteacher turned international drug smuggler. The documentary chronicles Mark's transformation from a promising academic to one of the most infamous cannabis smugglers of the 20th century. With interviews from former associates, law enforcement, and Marks himself, the film crafts a portrait of a man who defied conventions and navigated a world of high risks with charm and intelligence. His story is presented not just as a tale of crime but as a complex journey that blends charisma, rebellion, and audacity. The documentary highlights the double life Marks led, showing how he moved between the respectable world of Oxford University and the shadowy underworld of global smuggling. His intelligence and wit helped him evade capture for years, winning him a reputation as a folk hero in some circles. Yet, the film doesn't shy away from the darker realities of his operations, from the risks faced by those involved to the impact of his actions on communities. It offers a nuanced view that challenges any simple categorization of Marks as hero or villain, instead exploring the human behind the legend. Visually rich and fast-paced, Hunting Mr. Nice keeps viewers engaged through a mix of archival footage, dramatized scenes, and interviews. The documentary goes beyond glorifying a life of crime, digging into the cultural impact of Mark's exploits and the counterculture of the era. It raises questions about individual freedom, risk, and the cost of pursuing a life outside society's norms. By examining the allure and dangers of living on the edge, Hunting Mr. Nice is more than a crime story. It's a reflective look at the grey areas of morality, charm, and ambition that defined Mark's life. The Black Phone, 2021, film 4:09 p.m. The Black Phone, directed by Scott Derrickson, is a chilling horror thriller that combines supernatural suspense with a darkly poignant coming-of-age story. Set in 1978, the film centers on Finney Shaw, a shy 13-year-old boy who is abducted by a sadistic killer known as the Grabber. Locked in a soundproof basement, Finney's only connection to the outside world becomes an old, disconnected black phone that mysteriously rings with calls from the Grabber's past victims. Through these voices, Finney learns vital survival strategies, each a small act of defiance from children who couldn't escape but refused to be silenced. The supernatural element becomes more than just a plot device, it's a lifeline that empowers Finney to find his strength in the face of terror. As Finney grows braver with each call, the Black Phone delves into the universal fears of isolation, helplessness, and the loss of innocence. The specters on the other end of the line embody lost childhoods, yet they instill in Finney a resilience that contrasts sharply with the bleakness of his predicament. The phone becomes a symbolic bridge between the living and the dead, allowing Finney to connect with those who understand his fear and desperation in a way others cannot. The voices of his predecessors become mentors, transforming his isolation into a shared struggle and underscoring the idea that trauma, even when faced alone, need not be endured in silence. Ultimately, The Black Phone offers a unique perspective on courage and community, even within a story tinged by supernatural horror. Through Finney's ordeal, the film highlights the redemptive power of connection, bravery, and the refusal to surrender to despair. Derrickson's direction, combined with atmospheric cinematography, turns the basement setting into a visceral symbol of childhood's darkest fears. In a story where the past continually reaches out to the present, The Black Phone leaves viewers questioning how strength can emerge from the unlikeliest of places and how survival often depends on a blend of inner fortitude and unexpected alliances.
Friday, the 22nd of November 2024. Loaded, Lads, Mags and Mayhem, BBC 2, 9 p.m. Loaded, Lads, Mags and Mayhem on BBC Two revisits the rise and fall of Loaded magazine, capturing its wild influence on British pop culture in the 1990s and early 2000s. The documentary takes viewers back to a time when Loaded and similar Lads mags were redefining mainstream media, blending humor, hedonism, and a rebellious attitude. Through interviews with former editors, writers, and fans, it paints a picture of a publication that spoke to a generation with raw, unapologetic energy. For those who, like me, read Loaded back in the day, the series brings back a wave of nostalgia, reminding viewers of a time when the magazine's pages felt both boundary-pushing and relatable. The program doesn't shy away from examining the magazine's more controversial aspects, from its portrayal of women to the lad culture it encouraged. While Loaded celebrated a carefree, humorous approach to life, it also sparked debates about masculinity and media responsibility. The documentary explores these tensions, showing how Loaded balanced fun with provocation, sometimes crossing lines that later sparked backlash. For many readers, the magazine was an escape, a source of laughter and light-hearted irreverence, but it also set off discussions about the cultural norms of the time and how they shaped modern ideas around gender and identity. With a mix of archival footage, interviews, and reflections, Loaded, Lads, Mags, and Mayhem offers a reflective look at Loaded's cultural legacy. It captures the spirit of an era and the magazine's impact on a generation who found it refreshing and relatable. The documentary goes beyond nostalgia, prompting viewers to reconsider the magazine's role in defining the attitudes of a generation and how those attitudes have evolved. For former readers, it's a chance to look back on the magazine's highs and lows with both fondness and a critical eye, appreciating the role it played in a unique moment in media history. Misery, 1990, film for 1:25 a.m. Rob Reiner's Misery, adapted from Stephen King's novel, is a tense psychological thriller about an author, Paul Sheldon, who becomes the captive of his most devoted fan, Annie Wilkes. The story explores the thin line between admiration and control as Annie's obsession spirals into dangerous territory. Paul, injured and powerless, becomes subject to Annie's whims and demands, experiencing the horrors of her unyielding need to possess him and his work. The isolation and psychological manipulation he endures underscore the terror of being at the mercy of another's desires. Annie's fanaticism raises unsettling questions about the nature of fandom and the impact of adulation that transcends boundaries. Her fixation on Paul's character, Misery, and her belief that she alone understands his work illustrates the extremes to which individuals will go to maintain a personal narrative. Annie's descent into violence reveals the underlying danger when admiration loses touch with reality, and the line between love and ownership blurs. Paul's struggle to survive becomes emblematic of the power dynamics that can exist within obsessive relationships. Misery leaves viewers questioning the ethics of attachment and the boundaries of human connection. As Paul fights for his freedom, the film becomes a chilling reflection on control, dependency, and the price of fame. Annie's unraveling psyche and Paul's determination to escape reveal the complex, and at times terrifying, ways in which obsession can manifest. The story challenges audiences to consider the implications of hero worship and the human cost of dependency in all its forms.
And, finally, streaming. Landman on Paramount Plus, premieres November 18, 2024. From the creator of Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan, comes Landman, a gripping drama set in the high-stakes world of West Texas oil rigs. The series follows Tommy Norris, Billy Bob Thornton, a crisis manager navigating the volatile oil industry. The first 2 episodes, dropping on November 18, introduce us to the cutthroat environment where fortunes are made and lost in the blink of an eye. Alongside Thornton, the star-studded cast includes Jon Hamm, Demi Moore, and Ali Larter. Expect intense drama, explosive action, and a deep dive into the lives of those who risk everything for black gold. Judge Marianne on Channel 4, streaming from November 22, 2024. Walter Presence brings us Judge Marianne, a French crime drama that follows the unconventional magistrate Marianne Vauban, Mary Lou Berry. Known for her unique methods and humanity, Marianne tackles complex cases with the help of her team, including Captain Pastor and Clark Eve. The first season, available as a full box set on Channel 4 streaming from November 22, kicks off with a murder disguised as a suicide in a cowboy-themed restaurant. With a mix of intriguing characters and surprising settings, this series promises to be a captivating watch.